Welcome! Today we're going to take what you know about functions and kick it up a notch. We're not just graphing them or solving for x, nope. We are going to treat them just like numbers and figure out how to add, subtract, multiply, and even divide them. So let's dive right in. Look, you do basic math with numbers every single day, right? It's totally second nature. But what about functions, like f of x and g of x? Can you just add them together? Well, the answer is a big, fat yes. And honestly, it's probably way easier than you think. To make this whole thing feel less mathy, let's use an analogy. Think of a function as a recipe. It takes your ingredients, which are the inputs, follows a few steps, and gives you a finished product. So combining two functions, that's just like taking two different recipes and mashing them together to invent a totally new dish. All right, let's start with the easy stuff, addition and subtraction. If we can get these down, we'll have a super solid foundation for when things get a little more interesting later on. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This looks like it's straight out of a dense textbook, right? But don't worry about all the formal jargon. The only part that really matters is this little piece of notation right here, f plus g of x. It looks a little weird, I get it, but all it's saying is take f of x and add g of x to it. Seriously, that's it. You're just smashing the two formulas together. Let's see how this works with an actual example. We've got our f of x, which is 3x plus 2, and our g of x, which is 4 minus 5x. To get f plus g of x, we literally just stick them together and combine the like terms. So 3x plus a negative 5x gives us negative 2x. And 2 plus 4 gives us 6. Boom! Our new function is negative 2x plus 6. And subtraction is pretty much the exact same deal. This notation, f minus g of x, just means you take f of x and subtract g of x from it. But there is one tiny detail here that is so important to get right. And this is where people trip up, so listen close. It is all about the parentheses. You absolutely have to use them. See, when you're subtracting g of x, you're not just subtracting the first part, the 4. You're subtracting the entire thing. Those parentheses are your reminder to distribute that negative sign to everything inside. So that positive 4 becomes a minus 4, and, this is the key, that minus 5x flips to a plus 5x. That one little step is how you get the right answer of 8x minus 2. Okay, addition and subtraction. Done. We've got them in the bag. Let's level up and talk about multiplication. The core idea is the same, but the algebra gets a little more fun. So the notation here, f of x, g of x, just means what you think it means. Multiply f of x times g of x. And if you happen to be working with polynomials, like in our example, a friend from your past is going to come in handy here, the FOIL method. So let's do it. We're going to multiply 3x plus 2 by 4 minus 5x. Using FOIL, we multiply the first terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms. We combine all the pieces, and what we're left with is our brand new quadratic function, negative 15x squared plus 2x plus 8. All right, quick timeout. Before we hit our last operation, we got to talk about a super important idea for all of these new functions we're creating, and that's the domain. The domain is just the set of all the possible x values you're allowed to plug into a function. For addition, subtraction, and multiplication, the rule is really simple. The domain of your new function is just wherever the domains of the original two functions overlap. And that brings us to the grand finale, division. Now, this one's a little different. It's got its own special rule, and it's a rule that changes the entire game. Just think about it for a sec. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, they're all kind of playing on the same team. They're pretty chill. But division? Oh, division is the rebel of the group. There's one thing you can never, ever do with division. And there it is, the cardinal rule of math, straight from one of our sources. You cannot divide by 0. It's like the one unbreakable law, and it's exactly why we have to give division of functions some special attention. So check out the formal definition. The top part is exactly what you guess. F over g x is just f of x divided by g of x. Simple enough, but it's this second part that's the real hero. See that extra little condition there? It's telling us loud and clear, g of x, the function on the bottom, is not allowed to equal 0. So this whole can't equal 0 thing is the entire puzzle. But how do we actually figure out what x values cause that problem? Well, let's break it down into 4 simple steps to decode the domain for any division problem you face. It's a really straightforward process. First, just grab the entire function from the denominator.
Step 2, set that whole thing equal to 0. Step 3, solve that equation for x. And whatever answers you get, whatever x values make that denominator 0, those are the values you have to kick out of your domain.
Aha! But here's the classic curveball. This is the question that gets everybody. What happens if you can simplify the fraction? You cancel something from the top and bottom, and suddenly the denominator looks completely different. Did the domain just change?
Let's look at a perfect example. On the left, we've got our original function. But if you factor that bottom part, you see you can cancel out the x minus 2 term from the top and bottom. And what you're left with is the much simpler function on the right. Now, their denominators are totally different. And here's the problem. The original denominator becomes 0 if x is 1 or if x is 2. But if you look at the simplified version, its denominator is only 0 when x is 1. So which is it? What do we have to exclude from our domain? Just the number 1 or both 1 and 2?
All right, this is it. This is probably the single most important rule you need to remember. The domain is always determined by the original unsimplified function, the one you started with. A function is born with its restrictions, and you can't just simplify them out of existence. So for our example, even though it looked like we fixed the problem at x equals 2, we didn't. Both x equals 1 and x equals 2 must be excluded, period.
Phew! We have covered a ton of ground. So let's bring it all together into one nice, clean summary so you can have it all in one place.
This chart makes it crystal clear. For addition, subtraction, and multiplication, the rule is the same. The domain of the new function is just the intersection, the part where the original two domains overlap. For division, you start there, but then you have to take one more crucial step. You find any x values that make that denominator 0, and you kick them out.
So there you have it. You can now add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions like a pro, and you know the critical rules for their domains. But this opens up a whole new, really interesting question. What happens if, instead of putting functions side by side, you actually put one function inside of another one? Well, that's a completely different way to combine them, and a great topic for our next explainer.